This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
Welcome to Financial Safari. I'm Jackie Selby, your consumer advocate, here with Dave Perkins, senior consumer advocate, and Gregg Berrian. Gregg Berrian is giving us some great examples today on what not to do assumption-wise when it comes to your money. Of course, we're talking about retirement, we're talking about finances, we're talking about insurance, and Gregg works with Capital Financial and Investments, a fiduciary firm. Now, we don't want to make any assumptions about our retirement goals.
No, it's dangerous to do that, and keeping in mind it's a family show, you know the old adage about when you assume.
Ooh, yeah,
what
you make a blank out of you and me. Although I don't know many 7-year-olds that are watching us. So too.
I doubt it.
We watch Financial Safari.
You just gave it a little Italian.
You don't want to watch Disney? No, Financial Safari.
Kids, gather around the TV.
Come on.
We like that guy's
Safari.
hair, or we like that bald guy, whichever it is.
But you know, this is here's an example of an assumption that could be dangerous is when you retire. Some people think, oh, it's 65. Some people may think, well, I can work as long as I want to, and we're not guaranteed that.
We've heard the story, we've seen the story a million times. You're 62 years old, and all of a sudden you make more money than anybody in the company, and there's some young whippersnapper there who's willing to do it for half the money. All righty, and even though you've already made the mistakes that they're about to make, which is going to cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
Right.
Yes,
Okay. But so that we have no control of, and also the other truly higher power is how long is he going to give us?
Right.
How many days on this earth does he give us to enjoy? No, we don't know. It's not promised. And so therefore, that's why we have to plan to 100 plus.
Yeah.
But we live like it's 65.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And it's not just the actual, loss of employment, say, in your early 60s, late 50s or anything, but the health. What happens if somebody's health in the couple falls apart? There's cancer, there's an accident or something.
Exactly. And see, we always think, oh, what if I die? Mm-hmm. What if I die? What happens? And, to be honest with you, if I die, that would be a drag, okay? Mm-hmm. And that would be bad. But what scares me more than dying, personally, is becoming, not being able to do anything. Having
scary.
A stroke.
Yeah.
Heart attack, where all of a sudden you're cardiac cripple. So that could really, really affect your retirement in a big way. Because now, like, let's say you were 65, 70 years old and you had a stroke, and now all of a sudden you're taking money out of your accounts to take care of yourself that you really did not anticipate touching for another 15 years.
What layer of protection can you put in for that?
Well, there's various, of course, on something and some to that effect. There's always long-term care insurance. Of course, as our viewers and our readers always know, the form of long-term care we like to work with is utilizing life insurance, because we find that life insurance actually guarantees the fact that the money that you're putting into there will actually be cashed out for you. Because either one thing is going to happen: you're either going to die and your beneficiaries get the money in the policy, or you're going to become incapacitated, where all of a sudden the life insurance policy starts paying you. Then the other one down the road is also utilizing long-term care insurance to help offset that.
Traditional long-term care insurance doesn't have a beneficiary, right?
No, because if you put $80,000 into there and you die, that's gone.
That's it.
It's like car insurance. You use it or lose it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Another problem with the long-term care insurance is I find that very often what will happen is folks don't realize that they're going to get hit with cost increases pretty quickly sometimes, and they're quite significant, to the point where all of a sudden, maybe 5-10 years down the road, they've already got all this money into there, and all of a sudden they can't afford it anymore. So that now is a complete loss and waste of money.
Or you have to lower your coverage, or what your coverage.
Those are the choices. You either drop it, you pay the man, or you lower your coverage.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Which kind of leads to the next assumption, is that people may underestimate their longevity. But that's actually, you need to assume correctly that they're going to live long.
We assume people are living longer, thanks to statins and things like that, things that normally would have killed us in our 70s. seriously, are making us live a lot longer life, and not necessarily a life that's really fun.
And the fear is running out of money in retirement. We need to make sure that doesn't happen.
It's a huge fear, which is why, you know, what we do is when we start putting together these plans for our listeners and our viewers, we look at how much money do they need on a monthly basis to live, okay? And we look at how much money is coming in currently. When I say currently, I'm looking at the possibility of maybe Social Security changing, because we all know it's only funded to 2034. What's that going to look like? And then that difference is the money that is required to have you be able to maintain a standard of living that you're accustomed to and that you deserve because you worked that hard. And that money has to come from a source that will never run out, period. A source that's protected and insured, and that's what we do.
Right.
That's where we fill that gap. Some of the other things out there in the world, you know, we do our best to manage that as well. But that's the initial. If you don't have that covered, you're toast.
Right.
You're toast.
You got to have that.
Yeah, you got to have it.
How about how much you're going to pay in taxes in retirement, and how to turn those accounts over as you're leaving your job?
Well, taxation is actually quite a big deal in retirement, because you think you're not paying taxes, but let's say, remember I just mentioned that income gap, right? That income gap. Let's say that income gap was $3,000 a month, and you had to take $36,000 a year out of your 401, your IRA at that point. That's $36,000 right to the bottom line because every penny that's taxable. Then you got also your Social Security that's taxable for the most part. And and then also if you have any other investment that's coming in taxable. Just because you're not working doesn't mean you're going to stop paying taxes. I mean, some people hone it down. If you remember, we talked about that $500,000 growing tax deferred. That's what it's really nice to be able to have that kind of money that you don't have to worry about it, and it just grows tax deferred. But then also other strategies you want to work with in there are utilizing Roth. Start putting money into Roth. So I really, really encourage people to do that.
You said on the radio show that most of your clients, or many of your clients, 85% of their Social Security is subject to taxation, which we mentioned was a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have because that means you make the top, and that one could go up. Yeah. Well, the taxation could go up, and also the level could go down because it's based on income levels.
Right.
If you're under a certain amount of money, you don't pay any taxes at all. And then there's another level, and of course it depends if you're married or if you're single. And that second level is 50%. The third level is 85%. And I have a feeling in the future we're going to see some kind of shenanigans.
Okay.
Ranny Kazoo or whatever. It's some sort of
something's going to give.
Some tomfoolery is going to
tomfoolery
is going to befall the fund, isn't it?
Something's going to happen.
That's why we count on you and the team at Capital Financial Investments to keep up on all of the Ranny Kazoo and all the changes and all the information that you need to keep your money growing, safe. Get in touch. The number's on the screen here at Financial Safari.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends. Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with a financial advisor.
Did you know 40.6% of Americans between ages 35 and 64 are expected to run out of money in retirement? Between living longer, rising costs, and poor saving habits, planning for retirement is more important than ever. And yes, that means more than just contributing to your 401k. You've heard it said, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Retirement planning starts with defining a budget for you and your lifestyle. Many experts say you'll spend anywhere from 55 to 80% of your annual pre-retirement income in retirement.
What I've seen in my almost 30 years in the financial and retirement planning community is that folks that have defined a budget have come out way far ahead because you know what you need for retirement. How do you plan for retirement if you don't know what you're going to need? So we look at what you like to do today, we fast forward in the future, factor in inflation, and cost rises, and then we make sure we have a plan that can help you do what you want to do. Because think about it. What fun is retirement if you're not doing what you want to do? That's why we encourage and help you work out that budget now and that budget later.
Once you've prepared that budget for your lifestyle, then you need to make sure your essentials are taken care of by a guaranteed income. And here's the thing, Social Security may be guaranteed, but it also may not be enough. Warren Buffett once said, "The tour we've taken through the last century proves that market irrationality of an extreme kind periodically erupts, and compellingly suggests that investors wanting to do well had better learn how to deal with the next outbreak." And how do we deal with that next outbreak? Let's see what Coach Pete has to say.
What I've seen in my almost 30 years in the financial arena is that folks that have a long-term investment strategy usually come out far ahead. Now, an investment strategy is not just throwing money at the stock market and hoping it goes up, even though that is a strategy some people imply, because let's say you take a guess, your first guess ever on a stock, and it goes up. Now you think you're an expert. You can learn real quick that wasn't the right way, and you're not an expert when the next stock you pick goes down. So what I advise is first we establish a core part of your portfolio. The core money is going to be there, it's going to grow, it's going to protect that growth, and it's going to give you lifetime income.
A good investment strategy can help you see the potential reward. This could be an index fund, but could also be a combination of anything from crypto to real estate.
And there's several ancillary advantages to that. One, beyond having that money protected against loss, but number two, when you have that money that's in the market, in our world, our red or risk bucket, you're a little bit less concerned about the fluctuations that you have up and down there because you have that piece that is protected. And lastly, an advantage to that is when we start to make withdrawals in retirement. Sometimes, the plans will work where we can withdraw a little bit more because, when you do a plan, and most times it's 4%, that's the golden rule. Sometimes we can go above that a little bit because that 4% is assuming 100% of that money is at risk. So if you do not have all of that money at risk, if you have some and that's completely protected, another advantage there is I could take out a little bit more in retirement because that's not going up and down with the fluctuations of the market.
One of the most important things to plan for in retirement is how you'll maintain your health. When most people think about health care in retirement, their mind goes straight to Medicare. But here's the deal, it doesn't always cover everything you'd expect. Depending on when you'd want to retire and the level of care you will need, you may need more coverage.
Most people watching know somebody who's had a long-term care incident. It can bankrupt a family. And the first person that goes to the long-term care facility, the second spouse, is broke now. So we need to make sure we have a long-term care policy in place. You don't have to buy a long-term care policy, though, to get long-term care coverage. There are some specially designed life insurance policies that let you take the death benefit today to use for your long-term care. So you don't have to die to benefit from a life insurance policy, and you can be guaranteed to have that long-term care coverage by having the proper policy. So it's overlooked and understood, believe it or not. I know it's a new word, but let's get you understanding what's available to you.
The final part of a person's retirement isn't really about the person at all. Legacy planning covers more than you might think. It's not just planning an inheritance. What about special needs, account numbers, passwords? Does your partner understand where all the bills are and how they're paid? When planning for the future, make sure assets left behind go to the people you want them to, and that they don't struggle finding the information in a difficult time. Without proper planning, you can find your wealth going towards taxes, fees, and court costs instead of your loved ones.
We're so worried about today and ourselves, we forget about what's going to happen tomorrow to our relatives. More specifically, our spouses, children we care for, grandchildren, even that. So putting together a proper legacy plan is you talking from your grave to make sure people you wanted to have the money they need. Now, we want to structure it the right way. There are ways you can structure a tax-free legacy plan, and that's vitally important.
So, what does your retirement plan look like? A Transamerica study found that only 18% of respondents were actively preparing for retirement, and nearly double were thinking about it but procrastinating instead of taking action.
Go to yourmoneydesk.com. We have a treasure trove of resources on the site where you can explore concepts like this and just get to know your own retirement a little bit better as you head into it.
One other site is retirementhelpcenter.com.
Yes,
we'll put them on the screen here, retirementhelpcenter.com. videos, we try to keep them 4 minutes or less.
We do.
Because attention spans these days are about 4 minutes or less. And so, but they explain about anything you could ever thought of. We've done them on like everything from crypto to safe money to risk money to retirement income.
Both of these sites now have multiple calculators on them, so be sure to head over to yourmoneydesk.com.
retirementhealthcenter.com.
There's a lot of confusion surrounding financial advisors. So, is having a financial advisor worth it? We think so. And here's what you need to know when choosing one.
Choosing an advisor or choosing a fiduciary planner is a huge piece that most people come to us for, whether they're using certain programs online or hear us through radio or TV. The big thing about an advisor is fiduciary, there isn't a specific designation that makes one a fiduciary, and that's what's confusing in the industry. Even some newer designations are using the word fiduciary, but that just means to one classification of the management.
A true fiduciary always has your needs ahead of theirs.
As you're looking for an advisor, whether they are independent or working for a broker-dealer, you may hear about the standards that they're held to when working with clients. The thing is, there's a big difference between suitability and fiduciary standards.
Now, the suitability standard basically is that questionnaire you probably answered before. Asks you a whole bunch of questions about your risk tolerance and your understanding of money, and then the advisor will score that based on what you say. They pick certain different investment vehicles that are suitable for you based on your answers. To me, that's a shortcut, and it's ridiculous, and it's not professional. A true fiduciary standard has the advisor has a true conversation with you and your family, seeing what makes you tick, what's important to you, what you don't like, what you really do like, and they put a plan together for you that has no commissions coming out and will give you that lifetime income. It's a plan based on your answers, based on what you need, with no games, gimmicks, or financial termites.
3.5 million Americans used a robo-advisor to handle their portfolios. That number is expected to grow to 5.2 million by 2025. Although they're growing in popularity, how effective is a robo-advisor? Are they held to the same standards as human advisors?
Robo-advisors, there is a classification. I know there's a lot of question behind this, and we honestly don't know how it's regulated yet, even from our side of the table. Robo-advisors being a fiduciary. I can see how the answer could easily be yes or no, but as we've kind of seen, robo-advisors are becoming less and less kind of popular than they were just a handful of years ago, mainly because of the volatility, the inflation, and the interest rate environment we're in. Their algorithms could not take into account an emotionally driven market. I think financial advising is going something that is more behind a screen, but I still would like to have a hands-on approach. It's like, I love that airplanes can use autopilot, but I need to know if there's something unforeseen, that there's someone in that cockpit hands-on that can make changes.
Whether your advisor is in person or behind a screen, the real question still lingers. How much will it cost to work with a financial advisor? Is there a difference between how one is paid versus the other?
Fiduciary advisors, compared to other advisors, the way they're paid can either be a fee only, where you have agreed upon fee, you pay the fiduciary every single year. I don't like that because, now you're starting from below. If the objective of financial planning in the financial world is to have more money year over year, if you have an advisor taking a yearly fee out, we've seen some charge $10,000 or more a year to put a plan together for you and then ongoing maintenance of that plan, well, then you're starting every year in a $10,000 hole. So you have to earn $10,000 just to break even. It's kind of scary. So a true fiduciary plan should be one that is totally transparent. You know what's going on, and you're not paying fees, you're not paying commissions unless it's agreed upon. And I really think there are so many different strategies out there that don't require commissions and fees that the lazy way is to pay a planner and then pay them again for the products. So don't do that.
You've worked hard for your savings, and there are some financial advisors that are nothing more than lines of code, following algorithms created to follow an unpredictable market.
Do you hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. Traveling around the world to play golf, where I want, when I want, with whomever I want. Even got some customized clubs. Because years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of a local trusted advisor. Contact us to get started today. This is a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review to help educate and enlighten.
Financial Safari for your weekend pleasure. Jackie Selby, consumer advocate, and I have Dave Perkins, consumer advocate, and Gregg Berrian, the man who is going to help you with your retirement. I mean, this is not just insurance, it's not just taxes, it's not just retirement income, but it's all of it, Greg, isn't it?
It's everything. It's the big picture.
It's the big picture.
The big whole enchilada.
And it's a lot to it. A lot.
Yes, there is.
More falls on us now.
Yes.
Than in the past.
It's no longer, okay, you have a pension, now go away with your gold watch. When did that happen anyway? Yeah. We went from having pensions to funding our own pensions and funding our own retirement.
It's kind of funny. A couple months, about a year ago, Coach did a film series that we showed this film in 3 theaters.
The Baby Boomer Dilemma.
The Baby Boomer Dilemma.
Yeah.
The Baby Boomer Dilemma. And I'll never forget, because what it was talking about is how it's shifting from pensions, okay, to you're responsible for your 401k.
Yeah.
And there was a family in this, but anyhow, the husband said, "Look, they're going to give me a check for $375,000," and the wife's going, "I don't know, is this safe? What's going to happen to that money?" And he's saying, "Don't worry, we're going to make more money than if we had a pension. We're going to be great, you know." And so anyhow, he moves the money out and he puts it all in the stock market.
Oh,
and promptly the stock market has a huge just correction. And I can't forget the lady's face as she's like, "What the heck did you do?" It's like, I don't want to answer to my wife that way.
No.
Holy cow. There's no way I'm going to answer to my wife that way. It's like, hey, sorry, honey, I just lost $250K in the stock market, you know?
Wow.
It's
That's
just
scary.
pure gambling. It's like going to Vegas.
And I'll just, it was really a strong moment where she was like just crying and freaking out. And this poor guy, he didn't know where to turn because he just let his whole family down. I mean, they were counting on certain things happening. And all of a sudden, the whole thing, just got redirected. And he's probably, of course, this is fiction. It's a movie.
But it's based on real life because risk is a problem.
Yeah. And if folks want that movie, they can get it, by the way. All they got to do is reach out to us, call the number. That's on your screen right now. We'll be more than happy to either send you the movie or send you a code to be able to watch the movie.
Let's not assume how much we're going to spend in retirement. What are our expenses going to be? That's not something you want to make an assumption about.
Well, if you're gonna just basically retire to the couch and sit and watch Netflix and eat Cheetos all day long, I think you're gonna be okay, because your spending is not gonna be that big.
But orange hands and all.
Orange hands, no.
Orange fingers, and plus, well, anyway, Price is Right's not the same anyway.
No. But the thing is when most people, when they retire, they're in there with we call that the go-go years. Okay, you get up, you go, you do things, you ride the bike, you go on trips, doing different things and enjoying life, okay? And then as we get a little older, we transition in what we call the slow-go years. Now, the slow-go years are, okay, we're not going to hike Diamond Head, I'll be on the beach, see you there.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's when that changes, and then eventually go into the no-go years, of which it's kind of funny because those expenses kind of transition, whereas with the money you are spending on trips and going out and buying cool stuff and having a lot of fun is now being actually moved over to money just to keep yourself alive. Healthcare. Yeah. And so there's always going to be, it seems like that slow-go years might be the easier of the financially one.
Seems like maybe less expensive.
Less expensive. Yeah, exactly.
That's an assumption.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, my mom just sits home and watches TV and on 8, I said, "Mom, Lori next door can hear the TV."
On 8.
With the thermostat at 100. Speaking of, how you live in retirement, what's the equation that you use to factor in for someone? Because no one wants to cut their lifestyle. They want to have the same lifestyle they enjoyed while working.
Ideally, that's what we want.
What do you
sometimes
factor
people,
in?
Dave, sometimes people come up to us and they have these like really unreasonable ideas, and that's what we owe. That's what we owe our listeners, and that's what we owe our viewers, is the truth. And if I tell you, you got to work another 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, I've refused to work with some people because I didn't want to touch it. I mean, they're carrying $150,000 in student loan debt of their kids.
Wow.
Things like that. It's like, you're going to be working the rest of your life, and I
can't help you right now.
I can't help you because I can't put together a plan that's reasonable for you.
Yeah, and I mean, because there are some things that will go down when you retire. So can you make it work at 80%, or do you need it to be 100%?
Well, first of all, when I retire, my expenses are going to go way down because I'm not driving 500 miles a week anymore.
Right.
I spend what, $200, $300 a month in gas,
and they think,
and hotels and things like that.
Drive-through
but then again, my income goes down.
Mm-hmm.
But so the whole thing is you have to look at, and you can't just look at, okay, the month of March, this is how much we spend. No, it's January 1, December 31. Because you spend different amounts of money at different periods of time.
Yeah.
Like November, December, heavy spending because, gifts, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday it is, and then, in tax time, April, you might be spending more money then. So you have to look at it and you have to average it out.
Yeah, and plus, there are quarterly expenses a lot of people don't factor in, and that's just looking at the overall budget for anyone.
Right, and another thing is very often people, they own a home, but they say they may have only 3 years on the mortgage. So, like, let's say, right now their burn rate is $7,000, but when the mortgage comes off, it goes down to $5,000. So they're still paying their taxes and they're still paying their insurances, but they're going to save probably $1,500 out of that. So now their burn rate is going from $7,000 to $5,500.
Okay.
That's when you have to account for that as well.
You do. So that's part of the equation. And when you factor in all the streams of income, especially the big one you talk about, that foundation stream, are you trying to match what they made or come close to what they made
As
working?
close as possible.
Okay.
And I don't kill myself to come as close as possible. I come to what I do is I try to fill that income gap. It's filling that income gap so they can enjoy their life and maintain it. And if I can't because there's just too much expenses, then what we do is we work out a solution for them. But whatever it is, the solution will be the truth. And the truth will be based on our analysis.
And the truth could set you free.
Damn, I wasn't going there, but thank you.
Well, I was thinking financial freedom.
There you go.
Could, if it's everything.
I love that, though. The truth will set you free, but yeah. And there's nothing better than being able to, when you retire, to just say, okay, we call it SWAN, the sleep well at night.
Yeah.
And to know that everything is okay. And if the market's going down, you're going to say, hey, it is what it is. Sorry about that.
Yep, but we covered that.
I've only got 35% of my assets over there. The other 65 is all protected and insured, and I'm not worrying about it.
Right, it's not a one size fits all.
It's not.
And the reason that you do such a detailed personal meeting, etc., is so that person is covered because they're different than you.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah. So go ahead and feel free to reach out to the team at Capital Financial and Insurance. And you can do so with the number on the screen. You can get an appointment with Gregg Berrian and let him give you that personal assessment of what's going on. It's a no cost, no obligation situation, and he'll even give you a copy of the film, which is called Baby Boomer Dilemma.
It's a great, here's the thing about that film is it features 8 PhDs.
Hey.
Smarter than me.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us on Financial Safari.